Hey, what is up guys? So we got a deck profile here. This is a very weird deck profile I'm putting out because it's kind of like a redone version of the very first deck profile I put out on this channel. So if you guys haven't actually checked that out, please do, because this is kind of like that new and improved version of it, and as you can see, there will be a few changes compared to the original one. So if you didn't notice by now, the original one had an Aquas Bakugan. In this one, I actually replaced it with a Pyrus Bakugan because I believe that Pyrus and Darkus have a very powerful synergy together, and ultimately they would make me a bit more compatible in this particular format against the top tier decks. As a result, these two definitely works well. But with that being said, I want to actually just quickly show off this. So we have here 100 for the regular green fists. We have 2, and then we have 150 plus 2, and we have 250 plus 1s. So we actually have 4 green fists. I don't really like it, and the funny thing is all 3 Bakugan here are Ultra Bakugan. So while they can pick up a lot of cores, the funny thing is I'm not trying to rely on the cores here because they're kind of lackluster considering that these are green fists. But with that being said, the opponent can only benefit off this if they have specific Bakugan, and even so, the other ones won't really give much of a boost. So if they think they are able to, I guess, get the better of me, in this case, I have a lot more confidence that I can easily overpower them through my own action cards. The 2 Fire Fists, on the other hand, are the actual buffs, 250 plus 3, but even then, that's not as significant as some might actually think. But yeah, with that being said, let's actually show off all 3 Bakugan. So if you guys don't remember from the very first one, we have 3 different Bakugan here. So 3 different Ultra Bakugan, that is. So for the very first one I have here is Garganoid Ultra. Definitely very nice. He has the 700 raw power. Loving the design, of course. Garganoid is still by far one of the best designed Bakugan. Absolutely love it. Just really amazing there. But of course, here is the card itself. 703, and if it's on a Fire Fist, then you get plus 400 B power as well. It's just such powerful, it's just such raw power that you really can't get it in any other Bakugan. It's amazing. So, very happy about this one. In the team, makes it very strong. The next Bakugan we have here is Darkus Hydorus Ultra. This is also a very powerful Bakugan with 800 B power. Definitely very nice for raw stats. So if you guys don't remember, this was how it looked. Definitely another fantastic design, of course. And we have here the card itself. Same thing, plus 3 damage if you have 5 fists. So you could definitely benefit very well off this particular bunch here. And for the final one, it's one that a lot of you guys might actually not expect, but we are playing. Yes, we are actually playing a Mantonoid Ultra, Pyrus, that is. So something you guys might not actually expect, yes. This is definitely something that I thought would actually work well, and it does work well. So yeah, this is a 600 B power, again, very raw stats, very amazing. And of course, here's the card itself. 600 B power and 2 damage. Felt that it was better since it was also an Ultra Bakugan, it had potential. The only downside is that it is 2 green fists, which is definitely very poor for the Bakugan choices that we're actually given here. But with that being said, these are our 3 amazing Ultra Bakugan. So without further ado, let's actually just move a few things aside, and we'll just get on with the deck profile. So to begin, I'm going to start off with the Darkus flip cards. We're playing 2 copies here of Pact of Darkness. It's a 4 cost, very nice. it could be free if you want to activate Sacrifice as well and discard a card. That could work. And it just stops all non-darkers, which is quite phenomenal actually. So yeah, 2 of them, they do the job. We're also playing 2 copies here of Punish. It's just a 2 cost, but you just force your opponents to discard their card. I definitely think it's a very good card as well. So these pretty much compile the darkest flip cards. Definitely more than enough to really just hinder your opponent. Now we're also playing a Hyper Hydorus Ultra. It's a 3 cost, so it's very cheap, and it also gives us Shadow Strike, which obviously that's pretty much like an anti-Ventus really. So this card is definitely well worth playing because of how cheap it actually is. For hero cards, we are playing a Magnus. When you play this, Bakugan just simply gets 5,000. You pretty much win. It's guaranteed at that point. The only problem is it is a very high cost card, so it will go into the late game, and as a result, this is very unlikely that you'll get the chance to actually play it. Which I actually now believe that playing 1 is just okay. It's just that addition that you have. I was thinking about playing 3 of them, but the cost is incredibly high, and for you to pull it off, well, it's not really likely to happen. So I play 1 in the off chance that it might happen. For hero cards as well, for the other 2 at least, we're playing 1 Curian and we're playing 1 C. Both are much cheaper than the Magnus, of course. When you play a flip card, you may draw a card, and also Shadow Strike to one of your darkest Bakugan. So I felt that these cards were a lot better, because obviously they do a few more different things instead. So yeah, definitely very nice on these particular cards here. However, for the regular action cards, we have over here, oops, where is the original one? We have Stone Skin, so it's a 3 cost, and it simply just gives you 200. However, if you want to use Sacrifice, you can also make it 800 instead, which I think is usually enough for me to get over most of the Bakugan, considering the raw stats we already have. We're also playing 3 copies here of Cloak and Shadow, plus 3 damage and Shadow Strike. The main point I really want to get here is the Shadow Strike. It's just really strong, preventing your opponent from really reducing you from your raw stats. So overall, you're just getting so much benefits for such a cheap cost as well. We're playing 1 copy here of Smoke Armor. It's a 3 cost plus 500. I think it's alright, but like I said, it's only alright, and so 1 copy will do for now. I have a few other cards I have in mind that could be a little bit better. For example, Gravity Shift, a 5 cost. Choose a Bakugan your opponent chooses if it gets 1000 B power or 10 damage. In this case, your opponent will most likely choose the 10 damage, but the thing is this, you have raw stats, so they sometimes will just instead give you the B power, and they'll sacrifice the battle. So it kind of acts similarly to the sense that you're playing Magnus in that regard there, because if you're boosting your Bakugan up by that much B power, you're going to guarantee a win. Whereas if you have this, your opponent's risking things. There's no guarantee that the opponent will have a flip card come up. And I've had a game where a flip card didn't actually turn up for at least 8 cards. I mean, someone flipped over 8 cards without getting a single flip card, and they had to take up the full damage, which was actually quite insane. So in this case, I wouldn't be surprised if that actually happened, that the opponent just doesn't get a flip card. So for this, with the same purpose as Magnus, for cheaper cost, I felt that I wanted to play 2 copies of this. We're also playing 2 copies here of Dark Boost, very cheap, and it just gives you damage, and with the raw stats, you don't really have high, damage. So with the damage output we have in this, we should be able to kind of balance things out, because on the majority's sake, we will be winning most of our battles because of how high our B powers are already on their own. With that being said, we're also playing a Darker Strike, 3 cost. You also get to choose a player to discard a card. Since it's so specific to Darkest, I'm only playing 1 copy, but forcing your opponent to discard a card, it's not going to help them out, that's for sure. They'll be at a huge disadvantage, and card advantage is a thing. It's definitely a thing in this game. So I think it's going to be a really good card. It would be better if it was a pure Darkest deck. I would play 3 of these for sure. But Prismatic Bolt, a 4 cost, 300 plus 6. It's just one of those most balanced cards, and I figure 1 of these is alright because it's a 4 cost and didn't want to play too many of them. Wanted to play a few more different cards instead. But that pretty much sums up for the Darkest cards. So with the actual Pyrus cards, we're playing 3 copies here of Hyperman Tornado Ultra, just very cheap and better stats, nothing else to it really. We're playing a Barbara Kuzo, a 3 cost Fury at the end of their turn. If you have no cards in your hand, draw a card. Works well with your sacrifice that you're actually doing here. Durain Dane, giving you your double strike, and also when you play this, Pyrus Bakugan can attack for 5 damage, which is very nice. But that being said, it is 11 costs, which is, that's pretty high, pretty insane. Most likely this becomes an energy card, or even just the sacrifice fodder. But yeah, aside from that, we have Bill Kuzo, 2 damage. When an opponent plays a flip card, you may draw a card. This card kind of works in the same sense that we're dealing high damage with all the cards that we have. And I do wish I had more copies of Bill Kuzo. I would easily take out the Durain Dane to put in a 2nd copy of Bill Kuzo, and you just get a lot of bonuses out of it. Your opponent will eventually flip the cards because of you winning so many battles, and you could make the most out of the Bill Kuzo. For regular cards, we're just playing Meltdown. Destroys an energy card, definitely nice to hinder your opponent. Just 1 copy, it is a 3 cost. Playing Magma Boost, plus 700, it's such raw power to give to your Bakugan, and it is well worth playing. One thing I like is Might of Syndius. I am still looking for this card. This card is really amazing, but you win with your raw power, with your damage output instead of your B power. And in this case, I am increasing everything up a lot by their damage. So Might of Syndius definitely works incredibly well. We're playing 2 copies here of Furious Blast. Furious Blast is also cheap. It's 3 cost plus 6 damage, and if you have no cards in your hand, you could also return this, allowing you to reuse it again. Definitely very nice. Like I said, I do want to play 3 copies of Might of Syndius, but I just don't have 3 copies right now, so yeah, I'm not going to proxy. I just play with whatever I have. We're also playing 2 copies here of Impact Laser, a 3 cost plus 7. Like I said, I really need Might of Syndius. It's a card that I've been looking for so long now. Been buying so many packs and yet still can't pull any of the Might of Syndius cards. Definitely a very important card for the deck for you to work with this particular build. We of course have Implosion, definitely very nice, and we have Block Outsiders and Pyrus Dominance, very nice there to end things off. So I hope you guys enjoyed this deck profile. I'll see you next time.